Now, about a week ago, I took delivery of a thin and light laptop, gaming laptop with a 14-inch display that has really blown me away. I just love how it's performed. I like the battery life. We'll get into that in a moment. And I like everything that this brings to the table with its AMD Ryzen 6000 series processor, its Radeon GPU, a discrete GPU. It all comes together to make this what I think is a very intriguing choice. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 here for 2022. Coming up.
Now, before we get to the device, I want to let everybody know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Asus. I'm not being sponsored by Asus. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Asus is not getting copy approval. That means you're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit was purchased with my own money. I did not receive a review unit from Asus. And as I mentioned in my unboxing and first look review, I picked my unit up over at Best Buy. It comes in at $1649.99. For those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for more information and where you can buy one. And I'm still waiting on the higher end model, the one with the RX 6800S graphics. That comes in at $1899.99. I'll have links for that as well once it becomes available, so you can buy it as well. And for those that didn't see my unboxing and first look review, I'll leave a link in the description below. I highly encourage you to check it out. I cover some things I don't cover here, so check it out if you haven't already done so. Now, the thing that really strikes me about this design is the white finish on it with a nice pattern on it. Now, I don't have the animated lid that you can get in certain models. This is not one of them, but it definitely is a looker, and it's definitely a clean look, which I definitely like. I don't like when these gaming laptops are over the top. Now, you can get it, according to Asus's website, in a dark gray finish as well, which also looks really impressive. But it seems that Best Buy here in the US is carrying only the white model for those interested. And the build quality has been excellent. I've been very impressed with the rock-solid nature of that build, with very little flex, if at all, in the chassis. So it's been very good in that regard. And at 1.65 kilograms or 3.64 pounds, definitely very portable, especially for a gaming laptop that packs this type of power under its hood. So if you want to throw it in your bag and do some gaming on the road, this gives you those options and you don't feel weighted down. All right, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is the DC in. That's where you'll plug in the laptop, one of the ways at least. Next to that is an HDMI 2.0B port, and then you get a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 port. Now, it is full service. It does data charge and display out. Yes, you can charge with up to 100-watt USB-C power adapter. Now, from what I've been researching, Asus is planning to upgrade this port through a firmware update to a USB-C 4.0, making it more akin to a Thunderbolt port, which would be great. But right now, out of the box, it's 3.2 Gen 2. Next to that, of course, is a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. Moving over to the right side, you get a UHS 2 micro SD card reader, and that's new to this model. That was not there last year. Next to that is another USB-C port. It's 3.2 Gen 2, but this one only does data and display out. It doesn't do charge on that one. Now, it's pretty easy to get inside this laptop. You need to remove the Phillips head screws, and once you do that, remove the bottom plate, use a pry tool or guitar pick, and you're in. Now, once inside, you'll notice that 8 gigabytes on my model, at least, is soldered into the motherboard. You can't upgrade that, but there is an open SODIMM slot with an additional 8 gigabytes. Again, this is the model from Best Buy, for a total of 16 gigabytes. Now, it is running in dual channel mode, and it is the faster Rank 8 RAM, so that's good. Now, you could actually max this out, this particular model, to 24 gigabytes. Now, there is another model that supports 16 gigabytes soldered in, 16 on top of that for a total of 32, but theoretically, you maybe can go higher. I'm not really sure. Again, that's also running in dual channel mode, and that's the key. You want to be in dual channel mode to get the best possible performance out of this laptop. Now, this unit that I bought at Best Buy has a 1 terabyte M.2 PCIe Gen 4 SSD, and as you can see from these reads and writes, not quite Gen 4 speeds that we're used to. Normally, we would see about double these reads and writes on a Gen 4, but for some reason, this one is only doing about half of that. Not sure what's going on here. I'll reach out to Asus. If I get any information, I'll let you know. But in real-world usage, though, you won't really notice a difference. These are great speeds nonetheless. It also has Wi-Fi 6E along with Bluetooth 5.2. Both are working as you would expect. No problems in terms of connections and range. I have no issues in terms of the week that I've had this, so that's been good on that front. Okay, let's talk about the performance, and there are 3 modes you can run this in. The silent mode, which is pretty silent as it indicates, where you hardly hear the fans, if at all. So it's very quiet in that mode. You want to get work done, it's really good. Performance mode, you do hear it intermittently in terms of that fan noise, and the performance will be a little bit better. And then finally, the turbo mode, where the fans will run constantly, and that will give you the most performance. And this is running the AMD Ryzen 9 6900HS paired with the AMD Radeon RX 6700S, and the performance has been very good. As you can see from these benchmarks, it's good for Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, everyday tasks. It worked really well. Media consumption, watching Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube has been great, especially with that 14-inch display that we'll get into in a moment. But really for everyday tasks, even for video editing, it's been very good. 4K video editing with Premiere Pro, I have no complaints. Okay, let's talk about gaming. And to me, the sweet spot is QHD Plus Turbo mode on some of the more popular titles. As you can see, did better than when you're in performance mode. Also QHD Plus gaming, Cyberpunk 2077, Far Cry 6, Doom Eternal, games like that. Definitely very playable frame rates, very good performance. And of course, this has the MUX switch that allows you to switch between the hybrid mode or the discrete graphics mode. Hybrid mode goes between the integrated graphics and the discrete graphics, whereas the discrete graphics mode just strictly uses that. And as you can see, the difference between the two when you're gaming on some of the more popular titles, having it on QHD Plus Turbo with the discrete GPU is about 5% better graphics in terms of the performance than you would on the hybrid mode. And I wanted to see how the integrated graphics solution, the RDNA 2 or the Radeon 680M, how would it perform here on this new version. And of course, this Full HD Plus gaming definitely outpaced the integrated solution from last year, the Vega 8. As you can see, much better numbers. This is very impressive. And it actually outperformed the integrated Iris Xe graphics that we were so impressed with last year. This actually did better. So very impressive stuff with this RDNA 2. And when I ran the Prime 95 stress test to see if this will thermal throttle under heavy load, the CPU would turbo boost to about 96 degrees Celsius in terms of that core temperature, but maintained very good clock speeds. So although it does run hot, maintained good performance with very little, if any, thermal throttling. And as far as the surface temperatures are concerned under heavy load, it never got overly hot to the point where you can't touch it. It can get quite warm, but never overly hot, and that's good. I think it has to do with that ergo-lift hinge with the good airflow and the nice venting on this as well. And when it comes to fan noise, the dual fans will kick in, especially when you're in the turbo mode, pretty constant and pretty loud, as you can see here. But the good news is when you're in the silent mode, the fans hardly ever, if at all, kick in. It's pretty silent, exactly what it says. And then, of course, the performance mode, intermittently it would come on when needed, but wasn't constant like it was in the turbo mode. So the good news is doing everyday tasks, Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, has remained pretty quiet, and that's good. Now this has a 76 watt hour battery, and it did 12 hours and 2 minutes on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits. So what does that mean in real world mixed usage? You can anticipate anywhere between 7 to 8 hours depending on what you're doing. Remember, everybody's mileage may vary, so please keep that in mind. Now I did run the test with the 120 hertz refresh rate enabled, but if you want to get a little bit better battery life, I would go back down to the 60 hertz, which it comes out of the box, by the way. And you'll get about another hour to 2 hours, again, depending on what you're doing. Now, if you're going to do intensive gaming, only can expect about 1 to 2 hours at most on this. So if you're going to do any long-term gaming sessions, make sure you're plugged in. But if you do find yourself needing to plug in, they do supply you with that 240 watt power adapter. It takes about 2 hours to give you a full charge, not too bad. And you could also use that USB-C, which you can charge up to 100 watts with. That is also available to you as well. Now, one of my favorite aspects of this gaming laptop has to be its display. They're calling it the ROG Nebula display. It's a 14-inch WQXGA display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600. And yes, that is a 16:10 aspect ratio, which seems to be the trend in gaming laptops as well as business laptops and even consumer laptops. The move to 16:10 is very real. And the benefits with the 16:10 aspect ratio means you're going to see more on the display. So if you're doing work on this, productivity things such as Word documents, spreadsheets, and the like, you're going to see the taller nature come into play and it'll be much more productive. But of course, the trade-off is you're going to notice the small black bars on the top and the bottom when consuming media, which has been optimized for 16:9. So just bear that in mind. Not a huge deal, but something that you need to be aware of. Now, out of the box, this is running at 60 hertz in terms of the refresh rate. So you'll have to go into the advanced display settings to switch it to 120 to get the really smooth scrolling and the really fluid gameplay that you really want to have, especially on this caliber of display. And I already showed you the numbers in my unboxing and first look review. As you can see, the numbers are excellent. The resolution is 2560 by 1600. The brightness is 447 nits, despite a 500 claim nits. Very bright nonetheless, and especially with that anti-glare coating, you really don't notice too much glare and reflections, which you love, especially if you're going to game, especially if you're going to get work done as well. You're looking at really deep blacks, good white points, decent contrast, and it also has a very low delta E score of 0.97. What does that mean? It means that this is a color accurate display. Anything below 2 is considered color accurate. This doesn't disappoint. And if you're a content creator, you won't be disappointed as well. Excellent coverage of the color gamut. 100% sRGB, 87% Adobe RGB, 94% of the DCI P3 wide color gamut, and 85% NTSC. So if you're going to do Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, color grading, this display will definitely get the job done. So this is the front-facing camera on the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14, all new for 2022. And yes, it does have a webcam. Unlike the previous models, you do get one. Now, it is a 720p webcam, 30 frames per second, and it is an IR webcam. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. That's good. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality for your video conferencing needs, your hybrid work needs? Let me know in that comment section below. Now, the hinges on this laptop are really good. You can actually open this lid with one finger, as you see here. Now, as far as this ergo lift hinge, what happens is when you lift the lid, you get a raised typing angle. That's going to be great for your typing experience. It'll be really comfortable. It also helps with the airflow in this laptop, and that's been pretty good. Now, as far as a 180-degree hinge, as you see here, allows you to put the screen flat, as you see here, giving you the best viewing angle each and every time. Now, I'm really liking this keyboard, as I mentioned last time, about 1.5 millimeters or so of key travel, good tactile feedback, and I never felt like my fingers would bottom out. That's been pretty good. Now, you can notice that the white keys against the RGB backlighting, sometimes hard to differentiate white on white, so just keep that in mind. And it could stand to be a little bit brighter in terms of that RGB lighting. And it has a precision glass touchpad that I thought was very responsive. Two-finger scrolling worked well. All the gestures worked well. It was really a nice responsive touchpad. No complaints on that front. Now, this has quad speakers, and I gotta say, it's pretty punchy audio. That's been pretty good, filling up a room rather nicely. A little bit more surprising than I initially thought on how good these speakers are. I like what they did with this. In terms of the bass, it's actually pretty good, and in terms of the mids. So for quad speakers, these are really good. Okay, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 here for 2022? And I got to say, a lot of improvements over the 2021 model. We have a 14-inch QHD Plus display, 120 hertz, 3 millisecond response time. That's actually better than last year's model. Cleaner design, improved ergonomics, as I mentioned, and you finally have a webcam. Yes, it is an IR webcam. It's 720p, and it allows you to log in with Windows Hello. Would have been nice to have 1080p, but as for a 720p, it's not bad. It also has improved power efficiency. I got over 12 hours on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi, 7 to 8 hours in real-world mixed usage, and 1 to 2 hours if you're going to do any intensive gaming. I like the fact that you get these surprisingly good quad speakers, upgradable RAM and SSD, and of course it is more powerful than the 2021 model. Now, the negatives here, the SSD speeds, although they are Gen 4, you're not getting true Gen 4 speeds, more akin to Gen 3 speeds, which is a little bit of a negative. Not too bad in terms of real world usage, of course. You won't notice really a difference. And it runs hot, getting as high as 96 degrees Celsius, and the fans will run constant in the turbo mode, and they can get pretty loud. The good news is they're pretty quiet. In fact, they're pretty silent in the silent mode and not too bad in the performance mode. but my time with the G14 has been a great experience. I highly recommend this if you're looking for a thin and light gaming laptop. This is a big improvement over the 2021 model, and I highly recommend it.
So what do you think about this bad boy, the G14 here for 2022, in this beautiful moon white finish is I think what they call it. Very clean looking, as I mentioned in the last video. Love this pattern. Now this doesn't have that animatrix display. You can get it with that. It adds a few more millimeters, a little bit more thickness to the device. So just bear that in mind, but it does look nice. But I like this clean, understated look, not gaudy like some other gaming laptops. This is a very portable laptop, especially considering this is packing that AMD Ryzen 9 under the hood. It's a 6900HS. It's got the Radeon RX 6700S, and that is equivalent to a 3060 GPU. And as you saw from the numbers, very good. Now it has the integrated RDNA graphics, the Radeon 680M, and that has been great as well. Very good in terms of performance. When you disable the discrete GPU, it did really well. Now this does have a mux switch, so you can go with that dedicated graphics only, and that gives you a little bit more power. I would say about 5% more power than on the hybrid mode, which is what it comes out in default. But really good so far. Battery life over 12 hours on my test, 7 to 8 hours in real world mixed usage, 1 to 2 hours on gaming, as I mentioned, and that was all done with the 120 hertz refresh rate enabled. And then of course it has a 3 millisecond response time. If you want better battery life, go down to the 60 hertz for another hour to 2 hours more in terms of the battery. Now, as far as the display is concerned, I'm absolutely loving the display. 14 inches QHD plus resolution. That's 2560 by 1600. As I mentioned, fast refresh rate, 3 millisecond response time. Very, very good. It's also very bright. Now, I measured 447 nits. Others have gotten a little bit higher. Again, everybody's will vary a little bit. But the takeaway is it's a bright display. They claim 500 nits. I got close to that, 447, as I mentioned. That's good enough. It does have an anti-glare coating on it to help reduce reflections and glare. And that's always good, especially when you're gaming and doing work. And of course, it's a 16 to 10 aspect ratio, which has been the trend here in 2022. And especially on gaming laptops, we're seeing the 16 to 10, and that seems to be the way they're going. Now, as far as pricing is concerned, I picked mine up at Best Buy for $1,650, which to me, I think is a good price for what you're getting. Good performance, good battery life, of course, depending on what you're doing. Now, it does run kind of hot, 96 degrees Celsius. I saw the maximum. Fans will ramp up, especially in turbo mode. They will be constant and they will be loud, but you get great performance out of it. Now you can go down to the silent mode, less performance, but it is a quiet experience. If you want to get work done with this laptop, you won't have that issue. Performance mode has actually been pretty quiet as well. Fans will come on intermittently when needed. Again, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.